In this installment, we're going to be going over Week 11 breakdown, giving you the top values and top stacks for Week 11. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your Week 11 breakdown. We got a nice, great slate here for Week 11. But before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetSnitchJetsD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about the Patreon if you want more DFS, betting, and fantasy football advice. All those links will be provided down below. All right, before we get into the value at each and every position, we're going to start off with the stacks. And my top stack, that's not my top stack. One of my favorite stacks this week will be the New York Giants. Yes, the New York Giants going up against the Detroit Lions. Mainly because it's the Detroit Lions, and they have been the absolute worst defense in the league. If you're looking at look at that opponent rank already on Daniel Jones, 32nd. All right, that's where we're going to start off with the quarterback position. Daniel Jones has some very, very bright spots so far this year. Him and Dayball have connected. This is his part 2 of Josh Allen. We'll probably see more progression from Daniel Jones next year when they get a boost of receivers. But right now, they are utilizing him in the short pass game and utilizing his legs. He already has a game of over 100 yards rushing. He's not a Justin Fields, but this is your Dollar General version of Justin Fields here in Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is in a perfect spot here against the Detroit Lions. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to that quarterback position, as of late, these Detroit Lions are absolutely atrocious. 32nd total points per game, and in the red zone they are 30th, okay, allowing 1.8 TDs and 261 yards passing. Not to mention, they're allowing 51.5 yards rushing to that quarterback position. That bodes well for Daniel Jones in the passing and rushing department. Love him as a QB in Week 11. If we're looking at the other side, you're not really saving salary here, so I would fade Jared Goff in this particular scenario. Let's see if Giants fantasy points allowed to the QB. I'm going to scroll down. Giants I think they've been pretty solid. We can find it really quick. The New York Giants are 24th and 17th in the red zone, allowing 280 yards and 1 TD. The key factor here is the rushing upside, and that's why I would just go away from Jared Goff, pay the $300 more, and just get Daniel Jones. We're going to focus on Daniel Jones in this stack, okay? Let's go to the running back position. And both of these sides are pretty leaky, all right? We got Saquon Barkley, and then we have a duo of running backs on the Detroit Lions side. So Saquon Barkley, absolutely perfect matchup last week. 35 attempts, workhorse back here, 152 yards, got a touchdown, and got a reception as well. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to that running back position, the Detroit Lions are pretty, were they dead last? Let's flip this around. They should be like bottom 10. The Detroit Lions, as of late, they've been pretty solid. That's because of they're allowing so many yards in the pass game. They're still allowing, as you can see right here, 95 yards per game to that running back position, 4.4 yards to carry. That's still not good. If you want to flip around with the yards, that's going to be more of a bottom end type of tier run defense, all right? They're giving up so many yards in the pass game that it's making the run defense look good, so to say, but it's not, all right? So Saquon Barkley is in a great spot in this game. Giants, shockingly, have been struggling against the running back position. If we go towards the New York Giants here, they are currently 8th and 16th, but you got to look at the numbers, okay? 92 yards a game to the running back position and 5.2 yards to carry. This is a team that's going to utilize both of their running backs in Jamal Williams, and they're going to use DeAndre Swift, all right? So both of these guys have some upside. Good to see that Jamal Williams got you there with 11 fantasy points with a touchdown last week. That was a positive sight. And so did DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift at 6,100 also got in the end zone as well. Not a lot of usage, so I would lean more towards the majority of the carries here, okay? Even though DeAndre Swift has so much upside, give me the guy with more touches, all right? 16 touches we saw from Jamal Williams last week. I want the guy that's going to be on the field, the guy that they trust in pass pro situations. That's going to be Jamal Williams, all right? Injury-prone DeAndre Swift is dangerous. If you want to take a stab at him, you can. Let's move over to the wide receiver position. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is in a great spot. Fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. The New York Giants are currently, let's see if we can find it for you. We're going to flip this around. And the New York Giants are pretty bad as of late. The past couple weeks, 29th overall, 25th in the red zone, 182 yards receiving and 1 touchdown to that wide receiver position. We're going to lean on the number 1 wide receiver here. Jared Goff is going to connect with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We saw him back to normal, 10 receptions, 11 targets, 119 yards. Just didn't get in the end zone, but he had a great day of 25 fantasy points. We're going to go back to that well. Giants secondary is one of their weaknesses, so I like Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. If we're going to a secondary option on this offense, we want to wait on news about Josh Reynolds. He was ruled out last week. If he's able to go, he's more of a threat than whatever else that they have on the wide receiver side for the Detroit Lions. They got Khalif Raymond, who got a little bit of work, 3 for 47. That was cute. DJ Shark is on the IR. Other than that, they had Tom Kennedy. He didn't get much as well. So you want to stick to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and if Josh Reynolds plays, you can go towards him. All right, on the other side of the ball, it's not that many great options for the Giants, but some key components here. Darius Slayton still continues to produce double-digit fantasy points in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. That's a very positive sign to see. They only bumped him up to $5,000 in salary, so he's still a flex-worthy play this week. The guy that's going to have a little more juice in a great matchup, that's going to be Wan'Dale Robinson, all right? We saw when he finally got acclimated, finally healthy in week 6 and week 7, he was able to create some offense for this team. Saw 12 targets, saw 9 catches in those 2 games. Slowed down in week 8 and week 10. I think things are going to kick back up for Wan'Dale Robinson. If I'm choosing one wide receiver on the Giants, give me the rookie here, Wan'Dale Robinson. The reason why they let go Kadarius Toney, because they like Wan'Dale Robinson. They like Darius Slayton. Kadarius Toney is more of a head case, and he's more focused on music. But hey, he's doing well in Kansas City. I'm very happy for him that he found a spot that he's comfortable with. He has a lot of talent. All right, for the tight end position here, it's pretty ugly on both sides of the ball, right? So we want to stay away from the tight ends. They gave up TJ Hockenson to Detroit Lions, and for the Giants, they are splitting tight end work with 3 guys, actually 4. So Lawrence Cager was newly acquired from the New York Jets. He was able to get in the end zone in week 10. That's a super punt play. So we're going to stay away from those guys and move on to our next stack. The next stack we're going to get into will be the Chicago Bears going up against the Atlanta Falcons. And this Chicago Bears defense has been giving up a ton of points, man. Absolutely putrid the past 3 losses here. They've given up 31, 35, and 49 points in the last 3 games. So we're going to take advantage of this defense here. The fact that they lost Robert Quinn, the fact that they lost Roquan Smith, those are big losses from that defense. And on the other side of the ball, Justin Fields is looking like an absolute game-breaking quarterback. He's looking like this year's Jalen Hurts, and he's going to be a smash play. We're going to continue to go to the well of Justin Fields. Hopefully he can bring us another 100-plus rushing yard game. They're utilizing his legs perfectly. It's working well with his arm now. Everything is coming together for the Chicago Bears offensively. All right, that's all that they need from this team right now is this offense to get clicking. They'll figure out the defense in the draft. So Justin Fields is a smash play. On the other side of the ball, we have another Konami code quarterback here in Marcus Mariota that can provide passing and rushing. He's not going to rush at the same clip as Justin Fields, but If you want to save a little salary, you got Daniel Jones at $5,700. You got Marcus Mariota at $5,500. There's $2,000, pretty much a salary difference here. And the Chicago Bears defense is very, very bad. So Marcus Mariota can have a game that can compete with Justin Fields in this type of environment. All right. So let's look over to that running back position. Let's look at fantasy points allowed to the running back position on both sides. Let's see here for those running backs. We have the Chicago Bears 27th and 31st in the red zone, 4.5 yards a carry. So we're going to be very, very fine going to the well for Atlanta, and we're going to be very, very fine going to the well with Chicago Bears running backs as well. 32nd rank in the red zone, the Atlanta Falcons, 117 yards, rushing yards allowed and 4 yards to carry. We saw what Donta Foreman did to this team on Thursday. So Cordarrelle Patterson is in a good spot. He should be bouncing back from that poor performance against the Panthers, where he saw 5 carries for 18 yards and only 1 reception. That's not usually like him. And on the other side, with no Khalil Herbert, there should be clear-cut usage for David Montgomery. That's going to be a positive sign for him after having 3 straight games of under double-digit fantasy points. All right, the guy that's going to back up David Montgomery will be Tristan Ebner. He's more of a receiving back as well. So I think it's pretty clean and clear that they're gonna be fine with David Montgomery as the number 1 running back. On the Atlanta side, they're still going to be splitting carries, but I just want to stick to Cordarrelle Patterson in this offense. So I like both running backs on either side of the ball. Let's go over to the wide receivers. We're going to look at fantasy points allowed to that wide receiver position on Atlanta Falcons and on the Chicago Bears. Atlanta Falcons are pretty bad. As you can see, 31st rank and 4th in the red zone. So they're bending but not breaking. 233 receiving yards a game to the wide receiver position. That is league worst, as you can see. 233 compared to Minnesota Vikings, who had 222. And they are also allowing 1 TD per game. The Chicago Bears to wide receivers are allowing 183 yards and 1 TD per game to that wide receiver position. So Darnell Mooney is in a great spot here. He was decent last week, almost got you double-digit fantasy points. We wanted more usage from him. Cole Kmet was the main beneficiary to Justin Fields last week. We're going to go back to the well. We'll talk about him very, very soon. So Darnell Mooney at 5,400 is a great play. And then Drake London, we need more volume, but this is the perfect environment for him to finally break out. We want a 20-point fantasy game. Drake London has so much talent. He should not be averaging 9.8 fantasy points per game. That is not a good sign, all right? He's looking like a bust now. Obviously, you have the quarterback issue here who's not throwing the ball enough. And you got Arthur Smith, who loves to run the ball and utilize 4 running backs. That's a big question mark. So Darnell Mooney, Drake London are going to be guys we're going to key on. If you want to go to secondary options, Chase Claypool can get you there. He needs to get in the end zone at 4,800. Damiere Byrd is the more explosive of the wide receivers as a secondary option on the Atlanta Falcons. He's come up with 58 yards receiving against Carolina, 67 against Carolina in Week 8, and then 75 against Cincinnati. So you see the upside with Damiere Byrd. He can be a punt play at that wide receiver position. And that's how far I would go on the wide receivers for Chicago and Atlanta. Let's go to the tight ends. We got 2 juicy ones here. My favorite one out of the 2 is going to be Cole Kmet. He's coming on strong, all right? They had this connection in the preseason between Cole Kmet and Justin Fields, and things are going pretty well now. Back-to-back games with 2 touchdowns in each, and he has a streak of 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Cole Kmet is looking like the top target for the Chicago Bears and for Justin Fields. So he's going to be a smash play at 4,100. And the other tight end on the other side will be Kyle Pitts. All right, freaking nature, Kyle Pitts. The question is always usage here. It's poor performance from Marcus Mariota. You shouldn't be seeing 8 targets and only get 2 receptions, all right? And that's been pretty much 2 weeks in a row. 2 for 7 and 2 for 8. Kyle Pitts is a mismatch for any defense. He should be having more points than this. If you feel like taking a risk on him, even though I like Cole Kmet a little bit better, Kyle Pitts, in an environment where they should move the ball against this poor defense, he has a decent upside, all right? So that's going to be our stack for Chicago against Atlanta. Let's move on to our next. Dallas going up against the Minnesota Vikings is going to be our next stack here. Juicy matchup. We got Minnesota coming off a very, very, very improbable comeback against the Buffalo Bills. And you got Dak Prescott, who played well, but is coming off a poor loss against the Green Bay Packers. But these guys are looking like they're turning the corner here, especially Kirk Cousins. And at the quarterback position, they're similarly priced here in Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins. Both have awesome weapons, but obviously Kirk Cousins has the better weapons. You got Justin Jefferson there. But we've seen back-to-back games of over 20 fantasy points from Dak Prescott. He's looking like he's fully healthy and getting things clicking. I was very impressed to see him connect with CeeDee Lamb last week. So 6,600 for Dak Prescott is fine. And Kirk Cousins back at home. He should be fine, but this is a different time zone. He's not playing at 1 p.m. He's playing at 4:25. So hopefully we'll see if that haunts him in this type of scenario. So Kirk Cousins, obviously in this game environment. Let's look at fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position from the Dallas Cowboys side of things. And the Dallas Cowboys have been poor in the red zone, 26th overall, allowing 202 receiving yards to quarterbacks, passing yards to quarterbacks, and 1.7 TDs per game to the quarterback position. So if he can get things connected with Justin Jefferson, with TJ Hawkinson, with Adam Thielen, with KJ Osborne, things are going to look very, very well for Kirk Cousins at home. So I have no problem going with either one of those quarterbacks. Looking at the running back position here, both defenses, run defense, have been solid between Dalvin Cook going up against the Dallas Cowboys and Tony Pollard / Zeke going up against the Minnesota Vikings. As you can see, Vikings have been number 1 overall, and then Dallas, they shouldn't be that far behind. They've been 17th and 18th. They have allowed 147 rushing yards, 4.8 yards a carry. So this is where we want to tackle, okay? So we're going to go with Dalvin Cook. Despite the fact that it says 4th overall, this is a perfect spot for him to have another good game, all right? Very good game against Buffalo, 119 yards, 1 TD, 3 receptions, 5 targets, 27 yards as well. He's being utilized as a full asset in this, which was the LA Rams offense here. So Dalvin Cook is going to be a sneaky play this week at that salary of $8,000. A lot of people are just going to shy away, look at that opponent rank. But if you dig deeper and look at the numbers, this is a perfect spot for Dalvin Cook. If I had to choose between Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, I'm not playing Elliott. Tony Pollard is the guy with the upside and the guy that's going to utilize him in that pass game. He saw 3 receptions, 6 targets last week. 24 fantasy points from him against Green Bay. So if I had to choose one or the other, I'm going back to the well of Tony Pollard. But it's not a great matchup for him. I strongly like Dalvin Cook way more, okay? And he's going to be one of our top options for that Week 11 slate. Let's look at the wide receivers here. We're going to look at fantasy points allowed to that wide receiver position. And for the Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings, Cowboys are 20th and 24th in the red zone. So that's pretty decent. And then the Vikings are dead last. So this is where we like Dak Prescott here. All right. Minnesota Vikings have struggled secondarily wise, as you can see, 32nd overall, 29th in that red zone, 222 total yards to wide receivers and 1.7 TDs per game. So this is where we're gonna strike here. So we love CeeDee Lamb to have another good game, 7,500 in salary. He had a career game, 11 receptions, 15 targets, 150 yards, and 2 TDs. Finally, the Lamb we've been waiting for, 41 fantasy points. That's what I like to see there. A secondary option we can go to, we got Michael Gallup. He's the number 2 wide receiver. He saw 7 targets. That's a positive sign. He's yet to get in the end zone since coming back from his little injury. And Michael Gallup here, 13 targets in the last 2 weeks. I'm hoping he can get things going, all right? They need a number 2 option. Unless, hey, if CeeDee Lamb just wants to take over, fine by me. I'll be going back to that well. Michael Gallup is the number 2. On the other side, we got Justin Jefferson. This is the number 1 wide receiver in the league here. Absolutely phenomenal catch we saw against Buffalo. probably catch of the whole entire history of NFL that you could even say as well. Justin Jefferson is a solid option. Adam Thielen has been super consistent. Just getting a just solid amount of targets. He needs to get in the end zone to really break out. But 7, 7, 7, 8, and 7 in the past 5 weeks. We need him to get a couple more yards. We need him to get in the end zone for really to pay off his salary. But Adam Thielen is super consistent to get you double-digit fantasy points. So I have no problem going to him. And if you're looking at a third option in his offense, we're going to look at the tight ends. We got 2 gems here in T.J. Hockenson, newly acquired T.J. Hockenson. He's been getting a ton of work. All right, 9 targets, 9 catches in week 9, 10 targets and 7 receptions against Buffalo. Double-digit fantasy points the past 2 games. We want him to get in the end zone. That's going to be really a great sight for him, a really great matchup for him against the Dallas Cowboys, who struggle against the tight ends historically. The Chargers struggle against tight ends, the Jets struggled against the tight ends, and the Dallas Cowboys struggle against tight ends. They're utilizing their newly acquired tight end, so I like T.J. Hockenson in week 11. And then Dalton Schultz, he's still that safety net for Dak Prescott. As you can see, consistency. He's looking like his old self from last season. We have 8 targets, 7 targets, and 5 in the past 3 weeks. He even got a touchdown against Green Bay as well. So Dalton Schultz, 4,300, punt tight end there. I have no problem going towards him in this Dallas and Minnesota stacks. Let's move over to our last stack. That's going to be Buffalo and the Cleveland Browns. All right. So we're going to go over to Josh Allen, to Jacoby Brissett, and we're going to find some gems here. Starting off at that QB position, obviously, Josh Allen is an elite top tier talent here. And he's been struggling as of late, all right? We're not getting the 30 fantasy point games, and that's mainly because he's been turning over the ball, struggling late in these fourth quarters as the Buffalo Bills have been giving up leads. 2 interceptions in 3 straight games. Will that happen again? Cleveland's defense has been really poor as of late. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to that quarterback position, the Cleveland Browns, they should be near dead last. Let's see. The Cleveland Browns are 25th in the red zone, 14th overall. They're allowing 218 passing yards, 1.7 TDs a game, all right? That's going to be the problem. 1.7 TDs is not good. And in the red zone, they are struggling, and that's where Josh Allen can cash in, all right? Obviously, top-tier talents in Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Devin Singletary, Shakir is stepping up as a wide receiver as well. Josh Allen is a smash play at 8,500. Don't be shy going towards him. If you want to get cute and save some salary, you need a really high upside game from Jacoby Brissett. He's going to have to keep up pace with the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, he's going to have to throw the football. So you can see an avenue where he can get you 20 fantasy points. He's only done it once this season here. And if we're looking at fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position, the Buffalo Bills are still top tier. We're looking at 10th overall, 20th in the red zone, 238 yards passing, only 1 TD a game. So you want to temper expectations here from Jacoby Brissett, but you still like the stack here because you got Josh Allen, you got Diggs, you got Gabe Davis, and you can bring it back in the stack with Nick Chubb, all right? If they want to keep this game close, keep this game competitive, you can see a similar game script of how the Titans played the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns can do very similar things to these Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills have been absolutely horrid against the running back position. If we look the past couple weeks here, Buffalo Bills are 28th overall ranked. They're allowing 157 yards rushing, 6.3 yards a carry. That is the perfect matchup for Nick Chubb. He's going to be one of our top tier looks. A lot of people might shy away from him, but Nick Chubb is in a perfect spot. If you want to go to Kareem Hunt and save some salary, he's going to get some touches as well. I like both of these guys at 5,100 if you want to save salary, or you want to pay up for Nick Chubb. He's 8,200. He's definitely going to pay off his salary. All right, Devin Singletary stepped up last week against Minnesota. They utilized him more in that red zone. They're trying to keep Josh Allen safe because of these nicks and bruises. They want to make sure he's going to be fine going into this playoff run here. 5,800. They're utilizing Devin Singletary now in the red zone. That's why we saw 2 touchdowns from him. He saw a reception as well on 2 targets, 16 fantasy points. So I like Devin Singletary at 5,800. Let's move over to that wide receiver position. And I already love Josh Allen, so I want to pair him up with, obviously, a top-tier wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. 16 targets, 12 receptions, 128 yards against his former team. Didn't get it in the end zone, and that's usually very rare. He tends to get an end zone almost each and every week. He already has 7 touchdowns so far this season. So I think Stephon Diggs gets things back on track at 8,300. Him and Josh Allen are going to get connected, all right? Number 2 option for this offense will be Gabe Davis, all right? He's going to have a lot of boom-bust weeks, and he already had a stretch of bad games with 5.5 and 5.3, stepped up against Minnesota. I expect another good game from Gabe Davis against this poor Cleveland secondary. They were hoping that Cleveland would stick around until Deshaun Watson got back, but the problem with the Browns is their defense. So I like Diggs and I like Gabe Davis in this game. If you want to go further than that, you could go towards a flex play in Isaiah McKenzie. He's seen a decent amount of targets as well. On the other side of the ball, we got Amari Cooper, who's had some home and road splits here. All right, on away games, he's averaging 5.8. And on home games, he's averaging 23. These are stark differences. So I'm going to stay away from Amari Cooper in this game because this is a road game against the Buffalo Bills. And the guy we're going to go with is Donovan Peoples-Jones. He has been Mr. Consistent. As you can see, 4 straight weeks in a row of double-digit fantasy points. 99 yards, 88, 71, and 74. Has yet to get in the end zone so far this season, but things are going to change. I think he's going to get in the end zone this week 11. Number 11 gets in the end zone, gets a touchdown. Bank that, all right? That's going to be a prop play. Donovan Peoples-Jones, touchdown. Anytime touchdown. Put your money on that. If you want to do a same-game parlay, obviously we think the Buffalo Bills are going to win. Throw in Donovan Peoples-Jones touchdown in there as well. So I'm loving him on the other side of that Cleveland Browns. If you're going for a third option for the Cleveland Browns, you don't want to go that far. You could go with David Bell. They're a rookie wide receiver. He's getting a couple targets here and there, but he needs to get in the end zone. The real gem here for the Browns, other than Donovan Peoples-Jones and Nick Chubb, will be David Njoku. He's trending towards playing in this game against the Buffalo Bills, and he was on a freaking rapid pace. He was going to have probably 1,000 yards if he did not get injured. So we're going back to the well here in David Njoku. They are utilizing their tight ends at a 30% clip, and this man is a very special talent. Best comparable to Travis Kelce on player profile. David Njoku at 3,900 is a steal, so we're going to go back to him. I love his price. And on the other side of the ball, they got Dawson Knox. All right, tight end here. He's been stepping up. He's looking like his old self from last year, but the problem is he's not getting as many touchdowns. That was the key component to Dawson Knox last year, was him taking advantage in the red zone. He only has 2 touchdowns this year, and that's the only way he's going to pay off his salary here at $3,200 against the Cleveland Browns. All right, let's move on to the value plays at each and every position. On to our value plays at the quarterback position, we are going to go towards Joe Burrow. All right, I didn't talk about this stack, but Joe Burrow's in a good spot going against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense here. As you just saw, they are 26th ranked against opposing quarterbacks here, and Joe Burrow, I think he should get things back clicking. Had a solid game against Carolina. That was mainly Mixon, where he scored all those touchdowns, and then they had a bye. So I think Joe Burrow's going to get back in the mix here, get things going with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. So I like Joe Burrow at that price of 6,800. We already know he has huge upside as well. Another quarterback we're going to look at that's going to be a little bit of a salary saver here will be Baker Mayfield. He's going to be the starting quarterback going up against the Baltimore Ravens here. PJ Walker is injured, and we saw Baker Mayfield in week 9 come in that second half, score 2 touchdowns, all right, 2 passing touchdowns, and led the team to a 3rd touchdown drive. All right, so Baker Mayfield a little bit motivated here. He's going to need to impress. I expect a good game from him, and in half of a game, he got your 14 fantasy points. Imagine if he did that across a whole entire game. We're looking at 25 plus. So Baker Mayfield going against Baltimore, they're going to need to keep up pace with that offense. I like Baker Mayfield, and I like DJ Moore, who we're going to talk about a little bit sooner, all right? A little bit later, excuse me. Next will be the running back positions, and we got a couple gems here. On the Washington side, this is the worst run defense in the league in the Houston Texans, so we can go back to the well of Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson here. They were able to get you there on their performances against the Eagles with 14.6 fantasy points on 26 carries, and Antonio Gibson got you there with 14.8 points on 14 carries and got you 3 receptions as well. So Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson are a nice 1-2 punch for week 11. The next person we're going to talk about will be Josh Jacobs for the Las Vegas Raiders here. And I think if they want to get things right against Denver, one of their weaknesses in Denver, because you really can't really throw on them because they have a very solid secondary, you gotta run the ball on them, all right? And they're using Josh Jacobs at a very high clip. We saw 21 attempts rushing against the Indianapolis Colts, and we saw 6 receptions on 8 targets. This is a full workhorse here. So if you want to pay up for running back, other than Dalvin Cook and some other guys, you can go to Josh Jacobs here, going up against the Denver Broncos. So I like him. And then I have one more selection here for this Baltimore game. That's going to be Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake here. This is a smash mouth, run the football down your throat type of team. And we saw the Ravens take over against Tampa Bay. He had 16 fantasy points in that game. And we saw the Ravens and Drake take over against the Saints. He had 2 touchdowns in that game, 24 fantasy points, all right? As long as it's not broke, don't fix it, man. Kenyon Drake is looking like a solid play, and he's only 5,900. So that's a solid value at the running back position, all right? Some of the tandems we're looking at wide receiver. And it's going to be in that same game in that Ravens against the Carolina Panthers. We're looking at DJ Moore with Baker Mayfield back. He's going to need to get the ball to his top target. That's going to be DJ Moore. 4 receptions, 6 targets, 29 yards. That was with PJ Walker. So we want some more upside from him. So we're going to see. But at 5,700, we know we got Baker Mayfield that's going to need to prove himself. He's going to get the ball to DJ Moore. All right, not only do I like him, I also like Terrace Marshall. He's coming on strong as of late. Kind of a late bloomer, all right? We thought he was going to be a bust, but things are looking a bit better, all right? We saw week 8 and week 9 for him. He finally got in the end zone against the Bengals. Poor performance against the Atlanta Falcons here, but I think things are going to be a little bit better for him going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So I like DJ Moore, and I love Terrace Marshall at 4,400. All right. Boyd and Higgins is going to be the next one because obviously I like Joe Burrow. So we're going to need to connect with his top tier options, especially since Jamar Chase is out. There's a little bit of funnel here in this offense, and that's going to be Boyd here at 6,500. He saw 6 targets, 44 yards. Didn't get it in the end zone. He was pretty explosive in prior weeks, but poor performance for him against the Carolina Panthers. But I can go back to the well to him. And then the 1B here at wide receiver, right? One of my more likable plays here at 7,100. If I wanted to go with one of the guys with Joe Burrow, if I'm pairing it in a stack, we're going with T. Higgins. This is the 1B to Jamar Chase's 1A in this offense at 7,100. 4 straight games of double-digit fantasy points. We need him to boost up the receiving yards and add that with the touchdown for him to really pay off that salary. Had a little bit of an injury a couple weeks ago, but I think he's going to get things back to going in the right direction after this bye, all right? So 7,100, T. Higgins is a smash play. And last but not least will be the tight ends. We got Tyler Conklin for the New York Jets. New England struggles against the tight end position. And Tyler Conklin has been seeing a decent amount of targets. The game script was a little bit different against Buffalo, but against New England a couple weeks ago, 6 for 10 for 79 and 2 TDs. So you see the upside there. So we're going to go back to Tyler Conklin at 3,400. And we also like Foster Moreau, one of the bright spots here. Going against Denver is going to be that tight end position as well. Foster Moreau always has upside. He got in the end zone last week. That was a positive sign to see. Since Darren Waller is out, Foster Moreau is that next athletic breakout type of tight end that they have, and he's finally getting an opportunity to play. So Foster at 3,700 will be our final punt tight end. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in so much. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessengerD, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right. Peace out, guys.